Okay, so Janome Horizon Link Suite has Stitch Composer in it. I know a lot of people haven't used this. It's opening. And here it is. You've got your 9 millimeters of width. You've got, positive 4.5 millimeters here, and your negative from the 0 down to the 4.5. And I'm gonna take you through just making a very simple stitch for your machine that's not already on there. I'm gonna use a background image. And here it is, and these little handles will just make it bigger. So go back to our view and just lock it so that it can't, now I can't accidentally move it. And we want it to be transparent so that we can see our stitch lines over it easily. And as you can see, I accidentally put my first stitch there, which I don't want, so we will undo it. And I think what we'll do is we'll start down here. And we'll move right into this. I'm just going to go through the middle of these. And let's see. You want to use about 2 millimeter length stitches if possible. With curves, it can be a little bit tricky. If, say, I want to do a 3 millimeter length, I'll often compromise into 2 1.5s rather than having a 1 millimeter. So here, try to pick the middle. And over to here. And then we'll zip right through this. So you can see how easy it is. It's also a good idea when you're doing something symmetrical like this, the 14, the 18, try to balance them. The 17 is not across from the 15, I can move that afterwards, but try to get as many stitches as the other side has. Oops, I want to go back, and the reason why is because let's go back again. I want this one to end right in the middle because I'm going to scoot up into my circle at this point. I want it to be a continuous, I don't want to backtrack. Sometimes you have to, but if you don't and you want it to be a single stitch output for quick stitching, then you can make that happen. Here I'm going to meet up, so it's going to look seamless. I'll hit that same one. So here we go, 2 millimeters across the bottom. Bringing it out, because when I stitch these out for real, I don't want them to overlap on each other. And then if we want to see how this looks, we can just use this little play button, which also can be found under simulation. Here's your big play button. And you'll see it only stitched one of these out. In order for it to know how to stitch out more than the one that you've given it directions for, we go back to the home menu and do the lock stitch option. Now watch, it now knows where to start, stop, loop, and it will know how to end when you tell it to end in your sewing machine. It knows that by this list over here. Here's your start. You're starting, that's where I said to start was stitch 5. So when I pushed that button, it added stitches 1, 2, and 3 at the beginning. Those are locking stitches. It then added a loop stitch. So basically the loop stitch is where I told it to it's 45, which will be in the same place where I told it to end. So it's going to loop where I told it to end, but then when you push, say you say I want to do 3 of these, and you stitch out 3 and then you hit your, to finish that set of stitching, it'll go to that loop one the first time and start over. And the second time it'll go to the loop and start over. But the third time when you tell it to end, it's going to go to the loop, and it's going to go past the loop, it's going to start a lock, it's going to go to the end, which is the same place, and then it's going to do 2 more locking stitches so it doesn't come out. It's great. So let's take a look at this. There might be a couple here that I want to move to make them, symmetrical. So I can do this, and there we go. So I'm just going to kind of say, okay, I just want it to be similar on both sides. It's not going to be perfectly the same. I'm okay with that. Because remember, this is stitching out super tiny. The whole time you're doing all of this, it's continuing to show you how those changes affect it. After 24, I want to do an insert. So here we go. There's without shift, or if you just click it up here, it's going to shift everything. So let's see if we can notice that what it does if I say with shift. So if I do a with shift, so now it's saying, okay, so stitch 24 is over here, which is weird. Yeah, okay, so I want one up here. But do you see what it did when I did this? Okay, we click back on here and do this. See how everything looks wonky? It should not look like this. Now this side is a lot big like that, so I'm going to undo it. Puts it back over here. And we're going to go back. Now I haven't used that move stitches, so I'm fine. Select stitch 24, select insert without a shift. There we go. And okay, there we go. We'll put 25 there. Re-click it to see the rest of your pieces. There you go. And you'll notice that because I reopened it, my background drawing did go away. I'd have to go back in. I could reinsert it using view up here. I don't need to. I'm happy to just work with it this way, and I just want to balance it out. So I'm going to put, that's because I did not select move point. They get purple when they're ready to be moved, and I'm just going to kind of balance it, like just visually with, 33, which I can do. Yeah, I could count up and everything else, but I'm happy with this. Just want to see what it looks like when it stitches out. It's over here, and what we'll want to do now is just save it one more time, because we've changed it. Save. I'll replace the old one. And we're ready for a stitch out. So now will be the fun to see if I can edit 2 different videos together. So, okay, switched over to the camera. And I have my computer connected via cable. I just click Write a Design. And you can see up on the machine. It was thinking about that. And I'm going to come down here. And I've already selected built-in. There is a sub-menu to that where you could pick a flash drive instead, but we're just doing this, and it's actually telling me what else is there, and I'm going to write it. And it's sending it up. Hold on. Okay, so those are stitches I already had on there. It's under C, so let's scroll up and whoops. See if it's there. There it is, right there. So we can select it. And it comes up, and now we need to see how it stitches out. We'll hit the little round target button, which is found here. This will stop it at the end of the stitch it's currently stitching, and tie it off. And, it did pucker it a little bit, I think mostly because this is a really fine material. Interesting thing to note, I showed you how to stop it by completing the whole picture by using this one. If, however, say I'm at the end of the seam and I don't care where it's at in the stitch, I want it to stop, I hit this one. And it stops immediately and ties a knot. Okay, and then we'll just look at how that came out now that I added some stabilizer. It came out pretty darn good, especially since I wasn't holding the cloth. So there you have it.